What's up, guys? This is Carter Thomas with coinmastery.com. Thank you so much for joining. Get your daily crypto analysis and updates. Make sure you go and download the PDF and sign up for our newsletter at coinmastery.com/invest and subscribe to us on YouTube at coinmastery.com/YouTube. First of all, thank you so much for everybody who has subscribed. We're getting 1,000 subscribers a day, which is pretty awesome. Really excited about this growth. And I want to keep serving you guys and doing everything I can to help everybody make better decisions, make more money, capitalize on these emerging markets in a smart and logical and emotionless way, right? We're trying to stay even keeled in these tumultuous times because this is the biggest financial revolution I think we'll ever see in our lifetime. So it's a very exciting ride. And I'm glad you guys are a part of it. Today on this call, we're going to talk, or on this call, on this TV show, whatever. We're going to talk about a few things. First, we've been talking about index funds a lot this week, and I've been researching that. And I found a lot of information, especially about rebalancing your portfolios. I'm going to share that with you. We're going to talk about the District0x token, potentially an opportunity for a lot of you guys out there. Maybe not. We'll see. You can make your own call on that. I want to talk about FileCoin, which is like the first big kind of Silicon Valley push towards crypto, and a few other things. So yeah, really exciting week. Many of you, if you own some OMG or some Civic or some Neo or really a handful of the others, it's been a very exciting and for many of us profitable week. And I want to give a quick shout out to everybody who pulled the trigger, not just on stuff we talk about here, but just in general, because I think one of the defining characteristics of these emerging markets that often is so simple, but it gets overlooked, is you gotta be in the game if you wanna win, right? I'm the kind of person, I wanna win like a lot. I'm very, like, that's what I wanna do, is I wanna win. And for a lot of years, not in crypto, but just in general, I was on the sidelines. I was like researching, I was getting strategic, I was analyzing, but I wasn't actually in it, right? I wasn't building the stuff. I wasn't taking, going for it with any sort of taking action with it. And so I just want to give a huge high five to anyone out there who just put in even a little bit of money into this market, whether you went up or whether you went down. That's the biggest step, is you got to be in the game if you want to win. So huge props to you. If anybody is just getting new or you're just getting started, use this as an awesome learning experience. FOMO is fear of missing out is a really terrible and useless emotion to feel. So let it go. Focus on the future. We got a lot of opportunities coming. And this is just the first of many, many steps. So I just want to take a minute just to let you guys know that I think that's a really big key, is being smart, but going for it, right? You got to be in the game. So we saw a lot of action this morning. I think one of the things that I saw that was kind of crazy, or I couldn't find any news about this. If you know why this happened, please let me know in the comments or hit me up on Twitter or something. AdEx, which is like an decentralizing ad networks like everything else does, it spiked like crazy. I mean, this thing was screaming up 300% in less than 30 minutes. Or I guess this was a couple hours, and then this final pump was the end. And then it's dropped considerably. I do not know if this is a coordinated pumping up. I don't know if this is like there's some news somewhere. I couldn't find anything, but it's always important just to look at these kind of things and realize that when it's going up, especially when it's going up really fast, what they say, you're trying to catch a falling knife, right? That is the hardest thing, because it's so tempting to buy at those moments, and those are often when you get burned the hardest, right? And the reason why I bring this up is not to be like, hey, you got to be careful. Like, I'm not, whatever. Everyone can make their own decisions. But I've seen a lot of YouTube channels and a lot of people doing screencasts where they'll open up Bittrex like this, and it's sorted like this, right? It's sorted with the percentage change and they're just looking at what's going up the most that I can go check out right now, which is fine. I mean, I think that there's a lot to be said for that, right? Like, I look at like Monaco, which I sold last week. I look at this and it gives me a panic attack, but so it goes. But I think that if you're looking for what's going up the most, if you spend your time looking at this stuff, you're naturally going to start buying this stuff. And it's always better, and I've said this before, I'll always say it, it's always better to follow the volume, to get used to looking at what's moving on the volume side. The price and the increases will follow the volume. The volume is everything. So I just want to kind of start with that because that's something I noticed. I think that there's a lot of other things that have happened. The big news was obviously yesterday. NEO's kind of gone up and down. It's had a few dips in price. Let's see. I think it dropped down to like 0.8 Bitcoin this morning. Yeah, like right here, it came down to 0.8. Look at this. So this is only 3 bars. We're still in 30-minute candles. But look at that ascending volume, right? That's pretty wild. And that's after a solid stretch of these candles. I think that, this, when you're looking at this kind of volatility and this kind of volume, especially when it's such a new market, yes, this sort of volume stuff can be very indicative. It always works. I mean, that's just the nature of it. But this is when you probably want to have a little bit more of an advanced technical trade. Like when you're trying to pick the actual stop limits and things like that, I think that that's when advanced technical analysis can be really helpful. And that's the thing that I'm trying to work on. So over the next few weeks, I won't be using Bittrex as much. I'll be using things like CoinAG, TradingView that can allow me to do a better technical analysis. But that's also, I don't really do any sort of price calls. It's more like you can just see the trends and back it out into the market behaviors. I think the bigger news though with NEO is, let me scroll down to the bottom here. For a very, very brief period, I think a couple hours over last night, is pretty close right now. NEO overtook Bitcoin in tethered dollar volume. Like, think about that for a second. That's crazy. There's more NEO being traded on Bittrex, at least, than there's more NEO than Bitcoin going through that tethered dollar exchange, and nothing else is even close to this, right? That's pretty crazy to me. That's like the first altcoin that kind of came from very small beginnings and has even challenged anything else. Ethereum has taken over volume like on big ICO days or whatever, but NEO's right up there. Now, it's not even close in terms of market cap, but that may change in the future. But what this really tells me, and what this is, something to think about, there's a lot of people in China who have NEO and who want NEO to win. And I'm speaking as someone in the United States. Many of you are in the United States. Some of you may be around the world. Maybe some of you are, in Asia. But it's easy to forget that China owns a lot of Bitcoin, Chinese miners, but just it's a big deal in China. And NEO is really branding itself as the, kind of freedom savior of China through, like, we're the Ethereum of China. We are going to revolutionize everything about China. We're going to give you the economic growth, blah, blah, the whole kind of brand that is really appealing to people who live over there. And the reason I say that is I've worked with many software and app developers in China, and I know how ambitious they are, right? And for obvious reasons. So I think NEO is going to keep doing this. I think that you're going to see more of these kind of price corrections. I think you're going to see a little bit more of the stabilization. But I think NEO's still got a long way to run. I think it could easily get to $100 US dollars. It's 33 right now as of Friday, August 11th. How the path it's going to get there, I'm not entirely sure of. But if you're going long on NEO, I think it could still be a good bet, because I think that appetite in China is not going to stop anytime soon. I think the similar thing could be said for OMG. Question that people always ask is, are these all still buys? I think that, it's obviously your decision, but I think that as we see them stabilize, the volume's got to go somewhere, right? There's going to be more and more money that comes into crypto. It's got to go somewhere. And these are pretty good targets. So I think OMG is definitely a continue to buy. I think Civic, wait and see because they're controlling the supply. I think Neo will probably keep going up. And then these other ones, Stratus, I think I still love it. I still own a lot. I'm still going to keep buying it. So the other ones, next week, I'm really going to dig in. I'm looking at metal. I think metal's got a lot of potential. And I think the basic attention tokens got a lot of potential. I think those are the two I really want to learn more about. And then Verge is interesting. I got my eye on that. I just don't know why it keeps going down. And then the other one is Elastic. I think that's got a lot of juice. And then I'm just going to, this is all going to happen between crying myself to sleep, looking at my Golem investment that is just continuing to go down. I still believe in Golem, but I'm getting closer to being like, this might just be a dead horse. I don't think it is, but that was, unfortunately, that's just bad timing on my part. I didn't call that one correctly, but I learned a lot. I'm going to continue to learn on it. So we'll see. But anyway, let's get into the rebalancing. Now, if you don't know much about finance or index funds or rebalancing, no worries. What this means, what rebalancing means is, let's say you have a portfolio of 5,000 Bitcoin and $5,000, and the Bitcoin goes up, right? Now your portfolio has more Bitcoin value than it does US dollar value, right? So you need to take some of that Bitcoin, sell it off, and then make it a 50-50 split again. Similarly, if Bitcoin's price goes down, you need to take some of that US dollar and buy back into Bitcoin to make it 50-50, right? You rebalance it at all times. Now it can be thirds, it can be 25% each, whatever. Index funds traditionally take a basket of assets, like stocks in the stock market, right? And they bundle them all together. They put a big wrapper around it, and then that whole fund is the thing you buy. And all the individual stocks can go up and down, but the fund itself is just one price. Now, of all the research I've done, I've talked to a bunch of people, and everyone who emailed me with info, thank you. It's been awesome to get hearing from you guys and getting to know you guys. I'm not sure that an index fund is really going to work that well in crypto anytime soon. I think crypto is it's just too, I don't know. It's too easy to manipulate. It's got too much volatility. However, I do think that rebalancing your portfolio is a very good strategy. And I think the simpler you keep it, the better. Meaning like Bitcoin and US dollars. That's it. Or like Ethereum and US dollars, and 50-50, that's it. I think maybe you can get to like 33, 33, 33. But I think that rebalancing is a really good way of kind of combining dollar cost averaging and leveraging yourself on both the ups and the downs. So this is probably the best post that I read. I've read a lot of different posts about this, both in crypto and in finance. It's on Steemit. This guy's name is @ThorThur22 because I want to give full credit to this guy. Go there and upvote it. I never want to steal anyone's work. I'm going to make a link if you want an easier link. Go to coinmastery.com/rebalance, and I'll just redirect it to this just to make it easier for you guys. I'll put that link in the show notes. But go check this out. And so he explains what this is all about, and then he also gives you a Google Sheet you can use. So you open up the Google Sheet and you'll see it, and what you can do, he gives you instructions on how to do this, and it pulls a live price, or you got to update the script, but he explains how to do this. And it'll pull the live price out of coin market cap for any coin that you put in here. This is all his dummy data. You can put in your target allocation, you can put in how many coins you have, and then it'll show you what your current allocation is. And then it'll say, all right, if you want 25% Bitcoin, if you want 30% Ethereum, 20% economies, 20% strats, 10% waves, 5% Steemit, but this is what you currently have, like this is your current portfolio allocation, you need to sell off this many coins, or you need to buy this much currency, or whatever it may be, right? So if you have one Bitcoin in this particular portfolio and you want it to be 25% of your portfolio, In reality, right now, it's 35.4%. So this spreadsheet is telling you you need to sell off 0.293 Bitcoin to make it 25% of this exact portfolio. Right? Does that make sense? It takes what you have and it automatically will give you instructions on how to rebalance it so that your portfolio is in the allocations that you want. Now, the trick is what allocations are, like, what coins and what allocations. And that's what I'm trying to figure out. That's what I'm constantly working on. I personally think that simpler is better. That's what I'm going to test first. But it's a really helpful spreadsheet. And you can put in your own coins here, and you can put in what kind of allocations you want. And then this price will update pretty much anytime you refresh the code, and it'll just tell you, you need to sell this many coins, or you need to buy this, you need to spend this much US dollars to rebalance where it is your portfolio is. So go to coinmastery.com/rebalance. It'll redirect straight to this guy's Steemit post, or I think it's a guy, because I do want to give credit where credit is due. Just upvote it, tip the guy, whatever. I think it's a great post. And then you can open up this Google spreadsheet. You can save a copy to your own Google Drive, and you can mess around with this and start to learn from it. I'm going to be doing this, and I will share my findings. I'm working on getting some software to back test. I'm trying to find the best tools. A couple people have emailed me. If you know of any good software that I can try out, please let me know. Email is probably the best way because there's so many comments. But yeah, so this is a really good tool. I would encourage anybody to check this out this weekend, and let me know what you think. It's going to take a couple weeks to see if this really works. But I think that the hardest part of this is putting in something like Stratus, for example, and saying, I want to be 10%, and you have, 50 coins in there, and then Stratus goes up like 50% in one day, and the spreadsheet's saying, all right, Carter, you got to sell whatever, like half your stuff, because you got to rebalance it to your portfolio. I think that is going to be really difficult, which is why I think the simplicity is the best part. But I think that that's part of the exercise, right? And that's also why I'm eventually trying to get to the point where I can turn this into a piece of software so that I'm not involved. So anyway, go check that out. coinmastery.com/rebalance. It'll direct you to that Steemit post. Okay, cool. Let's check this out. I posted about this on my Twitter account, twitter.com/Carter Thomas. Go check it out this morning. And so District0x, I mentioned this, I think, a week ago in a video. It's a new ERC20 token. They did an ICO, and I think like 2 weeks ago, maybe, Bittrex mistakenly posted or added their token to their platform. And like an hour later, they were like, hey, we made a mistake. We got to take this down. And I think they said they got 10 million tokens deposited in that time period. And the reason why is because Bittrex wanted some money. They are unsure about the compliance with ICOs, with the SEC stuff. And also District0x team, it seems like they're not really that fired up about working with Bittrex, even though they know that Bittrex has volume. They're not convinced it's really worth it. If you want to go check it out, go to feedback.com or feedback.district0x.io. And they're kind of doing a live poll where they're asking people, like people who own tokens, what they think you should do. You have to go on their Slack channel. I can give you the bottom line on this is should we put this on Bittrex? They don't think they should. And they're asking, do you agree or disagree? So if you disapprove, that means you want it on Bittrex. So obviously everyone's disapproving this. It's 73% right now as of 1:15 Eastern, because everybody's like, dude, put it on Bittrex. You're going to make a pile of money, which I agree with. I mean, it's like, don't think you're some big deal, big shot in a market like this, right? Like, go where the volume is, go where the money is, take where you can get it. Don't be a hero. Just do what you got to do. And so if everybody disapproves this, I'm assuming District0x is going to go through with the Bittrex approval. Now, because of this uncertainty, as we've talked about many times on the show, fear and uncertainty are what we love to see in price manipulation, because if it depresses prices, there's often a very, very big opportunity, because once people are no longer scared, the prices go way back up, as happened in July, right? That's when Bitcoin went down to like 1,800. Now, if you look at this is the last, this is a 15-minute chart. So let's say this is the last 24 hours or so, I guess, give or take. Yeah, this looks like it's right about 24 hours. And you can see that people have been talking about this, and there's been a huge run-up specifically because of this question. They're like, well, look at this price. So this, by the way, this is liqui.io, which I don't endorse this exchange by any means, but they're the only place that lists this token. There's another one, Ether Delta, but this Liqui's got way more volume. And starting a couple of days ago, everyone's like, hey, you know, this was on Bittrex for a minute. It skyrocketed, then they took it off. When we get back on Bittrex, this is going to go crazy. So for the last few days, this is getting bought up like crazy. And right around here, everyone's like, well, what happens if it doesn't go on Bittrex? And it topped out, and now the price went from 28, went down to 17, and now it's kind of sticking around 21. And you'll see a lot of volatility, all banking on this question of, is it going to go live on Bittrex? If it does go live on Bittrex, I think it could go way up, right? Because you're going to get this massive surge in volume from just being on that exchange. Like there's so much volume on Bittrex that will never come over to these small exchanges. If it doesn't go on Bittrex, this is going to go way down, like way down. So it's kind of up to you guys. I mean, there's 73% of the people want it to go live. District0x team still has to approve it. Bittrex still has to list it. They still have to say yes. If all of that happens, this could be a big one, right? It could go way up, because that's what this is a depressed price. Like the average person is not going to go in here and buy this stuff. So full transparency, I bought this at like $12.50 something, and not a lot. Like I think I bought 1 Bitcoin worth, and it went up and it started to come down and it went back up, and I sold using that spreadsheet from that, that coinmastery.com/trade sheet. It's like the spreadsheet that shows you the 2030. I sold it at, I think 22 or 2100, enough to cover my investment. And then I just have the regular free shares sitting in my Trezor that are just like, I'm holding it. I don't really care. If I lose all that, it's free coins anyway. If it goes on Bittrex, great. So I'm not really stressing either way. It'd be great if it goes up. So I can't tell you whether or not I think that this is going to happen. I think it really is a 50-50 shot. But if you feel like rolling the dice, go get an account on Liqui, drop some Bitcoin in there. It takes a while for the confirmations, I will tell you that. But it is risky. This is definitely a risk. It could go down to 0 for all we know. So, but who knows? Go check it out. Last thing I want to talk about today is FileCoin, which, if you don't know FileCoin, it's very similar to Storj, STORJ, which I own a little of, and SIA, which are both like decentralized, like each computer becomes its own hardware storage facility. Now let me see if I can go FileCoin versus, let me see. If you want to, one question people ask me, if you want to learn what the difference is, go on Reddit/r/FileCoin. There's a great thread where it says the difference between SIA, FileCoin, and Storj. If you want to, honestly, the differences aren't even that big. For 90% of you guys, don't worry about it. It all does the same stuff. There's like some little technical differences, which if you're a developer, they're huge differences. But for most of you guys, probably just like your investors, you don't really whatever, right? But you can go check that out. But the difference in my mind from being in San Francisco or Silicon Valley and from a market standpoint, is a FileCoin raised a massive amount of money from very big accredited investors. You couldn't invest in this unless you were an accredited investor, which in the United States means you make $200,000 a year for your income, you have $1 million net worth, or like $5 million fund or something, and it can't be real estate. I think that those are the criteria. So if you want to be an investor in this, before it hit the market, before it hit the public sale, you had to be an accredited investor. Now this appealed to a lot of, venture capital types. So a lot of my friends put money into this, a lot of company like investment trust stuff that put money into it. I did not invest into this because I was like, this is going to be a complete gong show, which it was. But they raised a huge amount of money. The private sale, which was for the accredited investors, I believe was like 80 cents or 70 cents, I think. And the public sale, as of yesterday, was $4.68. They raised over $200 and some odd million. And the actual site had to get paused and almost crashed because it was just so much traffic all at once. So what does this mean for you? One, it means that Silicon Valley, which is a ridiculous amount of money, finally has a real case study that they can look at and said, okay, I bought it at this price. The public bought it at 5 times what I spent for it. Once this hits the exchanges and the markets, there's going to be a price flux, but there's going to be a big arbitrage opportunity. And if this price goes way up, all these venture capital people are going to say, all right, how do we put $1 billion, $10 billion into crypto? This FileCoin thing worked. How do we do this again? And that's going to be really, really interesting. That's the other side. Banks over here are trying to do it already. Venture capital is waiting for this because they got to report to their own investors. They're always skeptical. And what I can tell you, the egos of VCs, they just never want to be like third to the party. And so they're all waiting to get the green light so they can do this as an accredited investor and get deals that people like you and me can't get. So it's good in the sense that it's going to bring in a lot more money. It might be frustrating because it might bring in deals that we get screwed out of the deals on, like we kind of do for regular VC, or like non-accredited investors get screwed. But the beauty of the exchanges is that there's a way for that price to eventually come down, right? If it's not a good product, it's going to get smoked, and so we still get access to all the best products through exchanges, through our own sort of ICO offerings. So overall, I think this is a good thing for the market. I personally am not going to buy any FileCoin. One, because I don't really like that direction. I don't love the idea of venture capitalists like getting huge price advantages and everyone else not. Like that, something about that rubs me the wrong way in crypto. In regular venture capital, that's one thing, right? When it's like highly speculative. But this, I don't know. I just don't think that works quite as well with crypto. That may be unfounded, but that's just how I feel about it. So I'm not going to buy any FileCoin. In terms of the decentralized storage, I personally am not convinced that this is a very good idea. I think that Amazon Web Services is way cheaper than this. And the decentralized storage is not a compelling reason for the average consumer to switch from cheap storage online like Dropbox or AWS or whatever. I could eat my words on that, but I'm not going to, I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm going to stick to what I know, which is more like the applications. I think the applications are going to start to get a lot of good volume. I think Civic is going to open the door up for a lot of new money into the crypto space. Okay, I think that's it. So quick recap, guys. Make sure you go to coinmastery.com/rebalance, REBALANCE. All that's going to do is going to redirect you to this Steemit post. It's not mine, it's someone else's. I want to give them full credit. You can go get the information on rebalancing. And this weekend, 2 things. 1, try setting up the spreadsheet yourself, just get used to it. 2, I'm going to try publishing a couple videos on Saturdays and Sundays that are not TV format. They're more informative tips, tutorials, things like that, things that will help you if you're a beginner or if you're advanced. For example, tomorrow I'm going to put out a video all about how to stop paying Coinbase fees, because I think a lot of people are getting ripped off by Coinbase and you don't even realize it. And you could do the exact same thing on their back-end platform and pay no fees and save thousands of dollars, which people just aren't doing. So I'm going to start putting those out. So Monday through Friday, you'll see these kind of videos, and then Saturday, Sunday, you'll see more of the tutorial ones. So if you're new here, make sure you subscribe. Go to coinmastery.com/YouTube if you haven't, or hit the subscribe button right below here. Leave a comment. Follow me on Twitter @CarterThomas. And yeah, sign up for the newsletter at coinmastery/invest. Thank you guys. Hell of a week. Can't wait to see you tomorrow, I guess, with the Coinbase video. So peace out. I'll see you later.